I didn't know that. I went in blind. It just was like, oh, Hunting Wives, addictive. Oh, couldn't stop watching it. This is my aunt says. She's like, you got to watch Hunting Wives. I'd turn on Hunting Wives. And pretty quickly, I'm just like, there's a lot of gay stuff happening. It's so the whole time, I'm just like, this is what my aunt's into? I'm just like, all right, Aunt Grace, okay, all right. So just the whole time, I'm just like thinking of my aunt, like, okay. And I'm spending a lot of time with family. And then you run into him and she's like, you watching Hunting Wives? It's great, isn't it? Fantastic show. And you just got to be like, yeah, it's great. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Twostandupgals. I'm your co-host, Erica Spira.
And I'm your other co-host, Teresa DeGatano. Hello, everybody.
Hello. We are very much in real time here on the weekly pod. We are very fresh, literally day after the Emmys. I don't know if people are watching in real time or if you're mainly watching all the highlights the day after, which is what I'm doing. I'm watching the fashion. I'm watching the main clips. Okay, before we get into Emmys, can I start with this?
Yes.
This came up. I was on a bachelorette this weekend. We were talking about how when somebody recommends a show to you or whatever movie, when you're watching it, you can't help but just think of that person the entire time you're watching, right? So this happened to me. My Aunt Grace, was like, oh my God, are you watching Hunting Wives? It's crazy. Couldn't stop watching it. Did you watch Hunting Wives? Have you gotten into the show?
No, but I know what it's about now because I went to click on it. I'm going to watch it. It's in the queue, Erica. It's in the queue. But I know it's like Texas. This woman goes to Texas and there's some lesbian love.
Okay. A lot of lesbian stuff happening. I didn't know that. I went in blind. It just was like, oh, Hunting Wives, addictive. Oh, couldn't stop watching it. This is my aunt says. She's like, you got to watch Hunting Wives. I'd turn on Hunting Wives. And pretty quickly, I'm just like, there's a lot of gay stuff happening. It's so the whole time, I'm just like, this is what my aunt's into? I'm just like, all right, Aunt Grace, okay, all right. So just the whole time, I'm just like thinking of my aunt, like, okay. And I'm spending a lot of time with family. And then you run into him and she's like, you watching Hunting Wives? It's great, isn't it? Fantastic show. And you just got to be like, yeah, it's great. It's great.
And that is such a specific show to think about someone. It's not like, hey, if you watch Severance or if you watch like some of these shows like Pitt, that one won a lot of awards at the Emmys. It's like, that's a show about hospitals. Okay. Like, but every hour in a day, I know that's what that's about in Pittsburgh. But man, you're like, oh, okay. That's what you're, okay. Now is Aunt Grace, what's her status?
She's married. She's been married forever to my Uncle Jerry.
That makes sense.
Just like, she's like, yeah, every night before bed, I just couldn't stop watching. I'm like, all righty. Like, you're just like, you know what? I might not make it through the series anymore. You know what I mean? Just can't stop thinking about my aunt. It's like I have a cousin who's like super into smut books and you start reading and you're just like, you know what? Whatever keeps you two happily married. You know what I mean? You're just like, I don't know if you guys are bringing some bat wings into the bedroom. I don't really know what's happening over there. Like, you're just into some vampires fucking, whatever works for you two. You know? Just didn't need to know about my cousin in that way. But here we are.
That is so funny. And I hate to be that person. You could use that as a bit. Like certain shows, when someone suggests it, where you're like, ooh, I don't want your suggestion. I even thought about that with Game of Thrones when I was like, there's a lot of nudity in this. Like everyone loves it. Like I was like, oh, okay. There was like the first episode. I only made it past the first episode. Just a lot of breasts.
Yeah, and isn't there also like a lot of brothers and sisters fucking in that show? Because it's like medieval times and there's just not a lot of people around. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, it's getting a little weird up in this Game of Thrones here. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You know, might not be for me.
It's like same family tree, but that is really funny about Hunting Wives. Well, people were talking about it and I was like, what's it about? And they're like, oh, you got to watch it. And I was like, okay, but there are people in my age bracket that are like friends. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But when it's like your aunt, that is she's really like, funny.
And it's funny because a bunch of my friends, you know, that were on The Batch and stuff have met her. And I said to the group, I was like, you guys have met my aunt. I was like, she is very cool, but then there's moments where she like is a little too cool, where you're like, I think you forgot you were my aunt for a second, you know? Like, because she likes a good drink and we're hanging, and her and my mom are so close and so tight. And then there's even moments between them where, like, my mom, it's like they almost call her Saint Angela. Like, she's like a little too religious and a little too, like, never did anything wrong. That, like, there's almost a moment like all three of us are like having a drink, and then my aunt's like, oh my God, you know, like, it's always like my gynecologist says, like, men need sex and women need romance. And then me and my mom are like, what? We're both just like, what'd you just say? And now it's like that's in my head, and I'm like, it's like my Aunt Grace says, men need sex, women need romance. And I'm like, I don't need this in my head. And she whipped that line out when she's like filling me in about my cousin dumping some guy, and she's like, you know, he's just not being a planner, you know, like my gyno says. And I'm like,
What is this gyno just having so many opinions?
Yeah, pause. What convos you having with your gyno while she's up there? You know, and I'm like, how long you been going to this gyno? This is a good friend? Like, this is just getting
Probably
in
for
these chats. Like,
that's really funny. I think of it like what your hairdresser says, or like you have conversations with your hairdresser.
yeah.
I do like my PCP, my primary care physician, who was also my gynecologist. So, but it is funny. It's like my gyno says, I would love to meet Aunt Grace. Actually,
Oh, she's a fun time.
she sounds amazing.
Well, she's in sales, you know, so she knows how to tell a good story. She's got that gift of gab. And now that I think about it, the gyno usually has the gift of gab because while they're down there, they're putting the clamps in. Like, they're trying to distract you so it's not awkward. Like, imagine it is dead silent while they're down there putting things in, doing a little swab. They usually are like kind of talking you through it. They are just gabbing. And I never really thought about that, but I'm like, yeah, they're always a little chatty Cathy down there. Well, they're like, it's not weird that my face is up in here. We're just dip, 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 dip. Oh, we're done. You know?
Oh, that is great. There could be a whole list of shows that people recommend that you're like, I don't know why you recommended this show to me. Like, thank you.
Well, because one girl brought up like the smut books, or like one was like a Colleen Hoover book, and she said her boss recommended it to her. And she's like, I'm a mom, I have kids. And I think it was the book Verity. I think I'm getting this right. That she was like, it was just a really fucked up, dark book that the boss recommended. She's like, and my boss has kids. And the woman was like, I like couldn't make it through this book. And the boss is like, so how you liking that book? Like, how you liking the book? And she's like, gotta be honest with you, it's a little messed up. And the boss just goes, I know, right? It like crosses that line. You're like, this just feels a little weird and uncomfortable. And I was like, isn't that the book that people were trying to cancel Colleen Hoover over? Like, I've never tapped into the Hoover universe, like even before and after the Blake Lively scandals, you know. But
one of our friends, they were watching 50 Shades of Grey just like a couple months ago, like for the first time. And I was like, yeah, isn't it kind of funny when you watch it back as an adult where you're like, he's controlling. This is the first person she's ever had sex with. He just shows up in Georgia when she's there visiting her mom. Like, these are actually not
it's not
good.
romantic.
It's not. It's a little scary when you think about that. I do want to say at the Emmys, I did see the clip of Brittany Snow and Malin Ackerman when they like came out. That was funny when she was like, it took me a while to come out, and she was like, take your time, because I feel like a lot of times they try too hard to make things funny, the presenters, and the banter doesn't always fit. But I thought that was funny because I knew that that's what the show was about, and they're the stars of Hunting Wives.
Yes, I was like, that's also a nod to the show. It is a good show overall because it's not just about like, ooh, little lesbian hookups or whatever. There's an underlying like mystery and you're trying to figure it out. So it hooks you on that level more so. It's just, you know, the lesbian stuff being thrown in just made me be like, this is a little weird that I keep thinking about my aunt. Just like, what part of the show are you into?
This is too much. Well, I, on Saturday night, ended up ordering Chinese food. I went to the beach all day. I ordered some Chinese food. I managed to clean my bathroom. That was a big deal. But I turned on Dairy Girls, and I know I'm 5 years behind, but that show cracks me up. Like, it is so funny, and all their faces, and it's bam, bam, bam. Like, it's great. And I was telling my sisters, I was like, oh, I'm watching Dairy Girls. And man, my sisters cracked me up because they're like, yeah, I had a hard time following that. Needed some subtitles. And I was like, yeah, I know. Because it is sometimes hard to understand. It's Irish. They're Irish. And then I was watching it on the plane when I went to Ireland, but it was real fuzzy on the plane. So it was nice to watch it like clear. But man, it was funny. And I wanted French fries after that because they keep talking about chips. And it's just very well written and acted, I thought. But it's in the queue. Hunting Wives is in the queue. I feel like all these shows at the Emmys look really good. You watch Adolescence. You've watched that.
I did. That one is like a little bit messed up though, but it hooks you. It has the mystery, You're trying to figure it out, those type of shows. Also, I think the latest trend with a lot of shows is it's like the limited series. So it's really one season. So it's almost like a longer movie, figure it out type show. So I also recently watched like Sirens was the same type of thing.
Oh, my sister loves that.
It has the woman from White Lotus, the second season, the blonde with the blue eyes.
Oh, yes.
She's like one of the main stars of it. And she's a great actress. So a lot of times, I look up something to watch is I'll be like, who do I like acting wise? And then I'm like, oh, they're in it? Okay, I'm in. Like, that's pretty much how I pick shows. Okay, yeah. So let's see. What do we want to talk about from the Emmys? Let's start with the comedy portion here. Like Nate Bargatze, the host, starts off monologue. So the big highlight from it is he talks about how they kind of put pressure on him to like keep the show moving and try to get people to not go over their time, which they get 45 seconds when they win for their speech. This is my biggest question. Does the timer start when they literally are in front of the microphone and get handed the Emmy? Or like from when they run up there? Because you know how some people kind of take their sweet time hugging everybody in the crowd?
Oh, that's a good question.
No? I'm like, because I'd run. I'd be like, see ya, run.
I think when they get the Emmy, that makes sense.
So he basically says they put pressure on him. I thought this was very funny and pokes fun at basically everybody goes over time. He says, I'm going to donate $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club. For every second you go over your time, I drop that by $1,000. So if you go under your time, I'm going to add $1,000. Now I see that clip uploaded to social media. So many people are commenting, just donate the $1,000. How dare you take away from this organization? Like, I'm like, first, are you kidding me? Are you as if it's not a generous thing to do, even if he ends up donating $50,000? Like, also, all these celebrities have the money that I'd be like, if I take away from the time, I'll donate whatever I went over. Like, come on. I thought it was a funny way to poke fun at, like, if you know Nate Bargatze, one of the least confrontational people on the planet, do you think Nate's really going to enforce anything? I think that was his only way of being like, I don't know how to enforce this. Here's kind of a fun way to poke fun at, like, most likely people are going to go over this time, and up to you. Like, kind of put the blame on the actors. Especially when you have a moment like an Adrian Brody, like we talked about from the Oscars. That was insane.
Yeah. I also like Nate Bargatze, just kind of like low key, this is what I'm doing. Also, I thought when he said, otherwise, I'm going to donate X amount of dollars. And I thought, how much money does Nate Bargatze have? That's what I took away from this. I was like, how much is Nate rolling in these days? Like,
he's doing arenas. So while each person went up to do the speech, when you see the clips from the speech, you see the counter in the corner start to go down when they start to go over their time. So like by the time like Hannah went up there and did her speech, when she started to go over, it popped up and she was like, oh my God, no, this is so embarrassing. And then she says out loud, I'll donate whatever I take away. She's like, I'll make up the difference, which very classy. A lot of people did not say that because they have a timer when they're up there. They're not unaware. Like they see their ticker going down the whole time. And at the end of the night, he gets up and he's like, the overall total is embarrassingly low. He said, I'm actually donating $250,000 to the Boys and Girls Club, or he's donating $200,000. Somebody else was chipping in $50,000. So like at the end of the night, yeah, guys, he ended up giving the money back. Everybody chill the fuck out. And in his opening monologue, he made the joke very up top. He was like, listen, I haven't really done well in Hollywood. Like, basically, no one here really knows who I am. He said, however, outside of Hollywood, he's like, I'm doing pretty well. Right? I'm killing it in the comedy game. He's like, Hollywood, not so much. This place really isn't for me. And I thought that was pretty funny. To be like, yeah. He's like, I'm selling out arenas. Most people here still are like, who the fuck is this? Who is this guy?
But people love him. Like he is the sound of his voice is one of those people that you're like, I like the sound of your voice for me. Okay, I watched a Kevin Hart special. This is a few years ago, with my sister and her husband, and then we watched a Nate Bargatze special, and I fell asleep during his special. And I like more of a Kevin Hart type bam, bam, bam action,
Higher
but
energy.
that is more my speed when I'm watching a long, like, we went to see Sebastian Maniscalco.
Mhm.
Also, I thought this guy yesterday at the San Gennaro Festival was Sebastian Maniscalco.
Oh
I
my
was like,
god.
oh my God, he looks like Sebastian, just a little taller. And there's a lot of those looks going around earlier in
Yes.
the day. Waited on a dude named Franco that I was like, are you a driver or are you somebody, Franco? Like, you seem like you're somebody, but I have no idea what's going on here, Franco. He said you're a regular. And the bartender was like, he's been here once. So I was like, okay, but his name's Franco. But Nate Bargatze has a universal, very much like middle America, and he's clean, likeness to
Mhm.
him that you do want to listen to him. I like this, like the sound of his voice. I like his jokes are funny. They're very real. So yes, I do enjoy him. But it is funny that we know who he is, but people in Hollywood are like, who?
He's truly so funny. He's originally from Tennessee.
Hmm.
He has so many bits that are like the simplest thing that as comedians make me be like, man, how did I not think of that? Like he has a great
Yep.
joke, and I think it's from one of his early albums. I don't even know where it's from. He has so many specials now. He has 2 albums that are on like Spotify that are just audio albums before like video blew up that have some of the funniest bits I've ever heard. So it's like he technically has like 6 specials by now.
Oh,
And I remember one joke he had was about like going to his high school reunion and like trying to get in shape and lose weight for it. And he's like, a lot of people do that. They'll be like, I'm getting in shape for my high school reunion instead of like, hey man, why didn't you get in shape for like the people that have been in your lives for years or whatever? And he's like, I didn't go to college, so like high school reunion, like this is it for me. That was it. I went to high school and that was it, like type thing. But he has so many jokes like that that is playing on such a simple thing that I'm like, it's right in front of our face. And it makes us sit there like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Like how and Sebastian, I think, does a similar thing because Sebastian is pretty much clean.
hmm
And that's where clean humor really does come from, where you're like, yeah, it's basic stuff. It's everyday life stuff. Like the Amazon packages, the Venmo, and you're like, fuck, it's right there.
It's right
Right
there
there.
every
Right
time.
there.
I will say there's a clip that's been going around with Nate Bargatze, and I've never met him. Like, I started after he was kind of already blowing up, and because I know he looked different when he first started. Like, he's lost weight, he's like cleaned it up a bit, a little bit more clean cut. But it was CBS Morning, I believe, that's been going around that he's tagged in. It's on his page. I don't think he drinks
He doesn't
alcohol.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
he
quit
was
like
talking about
5 years
that, where
ago.
he's like, I just knew I wasn't going to get to where I was going if I was continued to drink. I just realized I
Mhm.
had a hard time like cutting myself off. And I really appreciated that, as I am like trying to not drink and like change, lifestyle change. And then he was like, now I have the issue with food. And I was like, I really appreciate like the realness of
Yeah.
it. And like last night when I worked the San Gennaro Festival, I was there for like an hour. I was out working at our sister bar and they have liquor. And I was like, I didn't want to drink. I was like, I haven't drank in a week. It took me 5 days to feel better from the last time I
Mhm.
was drinking, from like our big trip at the beach where we had a lot of wine and it was great. But I was like, no, I did like a small shot of cider, but I was like, I felt so much better today. Now I came home and did some NyQuil because I had a little bit of sniffles. I had some sniffles, but it's nice to hear like, oh wow, when people talk about that, I was like, okay, like good for you, Nate Bargatze. There you go, buddy. I also love hearing grown men talk about food issues. I don't know what it is. I
Yeah.
find that so endearing to me.
He's a big fast food guy, is what I've heard from buddies that tour with
Uh,
him and stuff. That's his like still remaining vice. That it's like, yeah, he still has like a 1 day a week that he gets like McDonald's or whatever it is. But he's also like obsessed with golf. So it's almost like he replaced drinking with like now it's like he's up in the morning going to golf. So my
oh,
buddies that tour with him, they like always are hitting whatever golf course in town is like their activity for the day.
that's kind of cool. I like that.
Mhm.
What other things did you enjoy about the Emmys? Did you have any people that you really were excited to win? I did like that guy that said he won for acting, and he was like, yeah, but the universe was like, maybe computers. Like, he was really funny. I watched like the highlights and I was like, oh, that
I
was funny. I don't
know.
watch a show, but I was like, that was very entertaining.
So what's interesting is a handful of my friends talked about how Jeff Hiller is his name, supporting actor. So he was one of the top like UCB improv coaches for
Oh.
years in New York City before he finally got a break acting in like a major TV show. And the thing is, when you are one of the improv teachers at UCB, you truly are one of the top improv people. Like you are the best of the best. And I loved his speech. I thought his speech was really great. It was short and sweet, to the point. I thought he made a lot of great points. I loved his shout out. He was like, "Thank you so much to my family who never laughed at me." I think he just meant with like his dreams. Because I think what's really hard for a lot of people, and we know many people like this, and I would say this is also true for us, where it's like we are not mega superstars.
Mhm.
We are funny. We are talented. And when you do something for a very long time, it can get very frustrating where you're like, I know I am good at this. But you can have a lot of moments you're like, I'm not reaping major benefits. And you
Mhm.
have many moments where you're like, do I continue with this path? Do I continue pursuing it? What percentage do I give to it? What percentage do I put elsewhere? And especially with creative careers, real artists have day jobs, like, and he hindered on that in his speech that it's like, you kind of feel pressure from people or pressure out from yourself where it's like, okay, though, do I make a big pivot and I have a more office type day job, like he said, where it's like, ooh, maybe computers, like type thing. And I've seen many comics make a pivot or many comics like still grind it out where it's like they're walking dogs. And it's like, that does not have health benefits. That does not have 401k. Like, and it's very hard to find something that can support you and pay your rent that has literally something like a benefits. Or I've seen comics figure out something freelance that they can run their own business, have flexible hours, have as much vacation as they want, and it is lucrative, and they still
Mhm.
get to pursue their dreams. And there's many people in creative fields or pursue something that isn't necessarily comedy, but some type of art or passion, and they're able to do both. But we've also seen or also felt ourselves this like burnout where suddenly you like hit a wall sometimes. And that's what I've like felt lately, or I've had like, a lot of family stuff going on lately, or like my grandpa's in the hospital. So this week I'm like happy I have the flexibility that like my mom is back upstate, my aunt works in the city. So I'm like, hey, like I'm available this week. So I'm the one like in the hospital with them during the day. And I'm like, it's fine. It's great. Like I'm happy to do it because like you need someone there to check on him, make sure everything's all right. Like you need an advocate for him. He's like a little out of it. But yeah, I really liked his speech. Obviously, it spoke to us because we're like in the comedy realm, and that's like what he
Mhm.
was getting at. Or especially seeing people that are like close to me be like one step from him,
Mhm.
feeling so excited. Like, oh, someone we know that was on our level of that struggling stuck with it and finally had that like make it out moment. Like
Mhm.
they felt like it was enough to just get on that HBO show. And then it's like, oh my God, anyone an Emmy? That's sick, you know? I don't know. I think those moments are really cool.
I think that they are too. I saw something this week about like this is more like inspirational where it was like we look at other people's success and a lot of times we get in our own heads like, oh, they're
Hmm.
doing this, they're doing that. And it's very hard not to with social media. But the person who posted this video was like, but you're in the neighborhood. You're in the neighborhood. You're with
Yeah.
people who know you're in the neighborhood. And we went and sat at the cellar. I hung out with my girl Mallory on Tuesday, and shout out Mallory Bryant. I love Mallory. She's one of those people you hang out with her, and your soul feels better. It is like you just feel good when you're around her. And we were sitting at the cellar. It was a beautiful night, and we were at the Olive Tree. And both of us are not past there. But they also have great food. Like they do have
They
great, I mean,
really do.
their hummus plate was we were like, "Oh,
It's
they put some
great.
pesto in it this time or something." Mm-mm-mm. And their wings, delicious. But like we knew a lot of the comics that came in. And so it's like Mark Norman came in and was like, "Oh, hey girls." And like a couple other comics came in like Jeff Arcuri, who I know Jeff from other, back in the day. And he's like, "Oh, what's up, Teresa?" Like that people I know are like, "We bought tickets to see Jeff Arcuri. We love him." And like non-comics. And it's funny because I'm like, well, I know these people. Like they're
Hmm.
in, I hate the word orbit, but they're in the orbit or the network.
Yeah.
What was really funny though, there's a comic, he's very nice. And he sat down with us every time we've gone there a male comic sits down with us and just sits down and like has a whole full blown conversation with us. And it's very funny and it's very nice. We were laughing. I was talking to him about fantasy football. We were just talking about stuff and it was great. But I said to Mallory after, could you imagine as a woman sitting down with two male comics that you didn't know super well and just like, hey guys, what's up? Like, no, like
So funny.
we wouldn't do that. But it's just like, hey girls, what's happening? Blah, blah, blah. And every time I'm like, did you want some pita bread? Sure, I'll take some pita. Like the amount,
That's
it's
hilarious.
just very funny to me, like the difference, how like, we also didn't even want to use the bathroom there. We went over to the pair. We're like, you want to go to the pair to use the bathroom? And that's what we do. I feel embarrassed walking through the showroom. That
The
just
thing is,
makes
you
me.
shouldn't, but I understand. It's more the thing of it's annoying to disrupt the show,
Mhm.
and especially when you don't work there. I used to do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Because even the customers are very confused when they come down there. They're like, I have to walk through here, and we're like, yeah, just go. But as a comic, I did the same thing so many times. I would go to the pair. I was like,
Mhm.
I'll just go around the corner. I'll come back. This is really why it's the biggest compliment that they sit and hang with you. It truly is. They walk in there and they would rather sit and talk with you guys than probably who else is hanging out there, is really what it is. Because I do that where like I'm around the corner at the other rooms and no one will be hanging or something. And a lot of times I'm like, I got dressed, I'm here, I did my spot, and I'm done. And I'm like, do I want to hang? And I'm always like, well, I don't know who's hanging.
Uh-huh.
And you go and you walk in, and a lot of times, sometimes you're like, oh, fuck. Because you can't just like walk in, look around,
And then
turn
leave.
around and leave.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you don't have a spot and you're like, so if I walked in and I saw you, I'd be like, oh, thank God. I'd be like, tea. And I'd pull in. I'd pull in that chair. I'd be like, I'm sitting here. I came to see tea. That's why I came over here. I came to see Matt. I knew they were here. And that is why I'm here.
It's so funny. We're always at
It
that
is a
front
compliment. It's a
table.
big compliment.
Well, it is fun actually because now I feel like I know him better. Some of the comics like that I know on a better level. Like, oh, I just sat here and talked to you.
And it's nice to see a new face too. Like we see the
Yeah.
same faces working there. So
Mhm.
it truly is. I felt so good too when people would be like, Erica, it's so nice to see you. I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. I felt so nervous coming here to hang.
Oh, I wanted to say about, yes, Tremel Tillman was the first Black man to win supporting actor.
Isn't that insane?
I know. I love his suit and I loved his acceptance speech as well, where he's like, don't
Also,
embarrass me.
boom, to the fucking point.
Yeah. Boom, boom,
Had it
boom.
nailed.
Mm-hmm.
Nailed. Damn.
So shout out to that. I do want to say, talk about people being nice, is that I did a guest spot Friday night. I didn't really want to tell anybody. I told you at Gotham. I had the check spot basically. Thank you. And I thought it went very well. And
Good.
I was just like, let's go, let's go. Like I was there honestly a while back to do a check spot. And I've just been hosting there for the new talent nights on Mondays. But Andrew's so nice and was like, let's get you back in. And
Yeah.
like Gina Brion was so nice to me when I came in. And like, I know,
Love Gina.
like, and so just very, very nice. I went after Gina. But I got kind of, I 8 minutes set. I thought it went very well. Mike Britt, no, it's Mike Yard. Okay, I get the mics confused. Okay, that's what it is. Mike Yard was so nice. He's the one from the Caribbean originally.
Mhm.
And he was so nice. And I liked watching his set. He closed out the show, but just was asking me questions and, very nice. He introduced himself right away. And he's like, that was really funny. How have we not worked with each other before? And one of the waiters gave me like a heads up, like, yeah. And that made me feel good. One of the servers that I see. So I felt like it went well. And then I asked the other manager, Tom, I was like, so what do we do now? And so he's like, so, then they were just so nice. Like, are you doing a guest spot? Oh, great. Like, and Mike gave me a good compliment. He's like, you just got him. You went right in there. I was like, yep. And so
Was the booker there to watch live, or was it the managers watching to like report
no,
back?
he wasn't there.
That's okay.
live. And
It
so I was
doesn't
like,
matter.
okay, he'll report back.
They'll report back. Yeah.
Yep. So I
That's
was
good.
like, all right. So I'll check in this week. And, but it felt good. And I was like, and I left there and I was like, all right. And then two of the girls started talking to me after because they're from near where I'm from. And so we were chatting and they're so cute. They were like 21. So they were like, we were trying to follow you, but we didn't see you on the flyer because when you're doing guest spot, you're not on the flyer. So I was like, let's follow. But now I feel like I'm liking their stuff more. I'm like, what are these girls getting into? Oh, they're on a rooftop. What are they doing?
What's it like being a 21-year-old in New
I
York
know.
now?
I was like, no hangovers. Where'd they go? Oh, these cocktails look good. And they were just so sweet. But anyways, so.
That's good. I'm excited.
We're in the orbit.
They especially always need hosts there for sure. But it's good to get in the Gotham rotation. It's nice. It's a nice club to work. They're very well run. That's one of my favorite places. Yeah.
Yes. And it felt good because when I'm hosting the new talent nights, it makes me feel like I suck at comedy because
No. Oh my
those are
God.
hard rooms. Everyone's just there to see their friend. They're all looking at
Yeah.
you. These people on the other shows, they're paid to come to see a full show where they're not there
Also,
for a
it's the
specific
weekend.
person.
Like,
Yeah, it was
people
Friday night.
are ready to let loose. No, I'm excited. I know when you told me you were doing a weekend guest spot, I was like, hell yeah, get in here. Get in here,
It was
Tate.
good. And I got a tape. So I'm gonna chop that up, chop it up.
Pow, pow,
So
pow.
pow.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We got to wrap. Sorry if this is short but sweet. Message us anything if you have I like inspirational stories about orbits. Like if you're like this happened and this happened, and then you're like, heck yeah. Like I like that. Like, just little things that you're like, little accomplishments. We got to celebrate the small wins just as much as we have to celebrate the big wins. That's my motto for the week.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, everybody.
What's hard is if you were to ask me, do you really want a relationship? My answer is yes. But this does just reiterate I've never been the person to get into a relationship just because I really want a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, okay, it's basically like, here is one. And that was how I felt kind of the first time around a bit dating him, where I was like, this could potentially be a boyfriend. If I wanted it to go in that direction, I feel I could make it go into that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, but I don't want to, and I don't want to push it. So I ended it. And then essentially, we kind of started talking again, hanging out a little bit. And there was just no pressure, though, because I was like, whatever, or for fun, or blah, blah, blah.
And you were moving.
Yeah. But then it was like he was showing a lot more personality, and he was more relaxed, and it was more fun. And then I was like, oh, maybe this could be something. And so then through keeping in touch and everything, I was like, oh, maybe there is something here. And so I did feel emotional with leaving, and he got emotional. And then I was like, oh shit. So this whole visit kind of came about with this, I'm going to miss you, blah, blah, blah. And I felt that too. I got emotional. And then I was like, well, if you want, come for a visit, come visit sometime. If you'd like to hear the rest of this episode and get extra episodes every week, join the Patreon, which is patreon.com/twostandupgals. Or you can also now join from the Apple Podcast app, right from your phone. You'll also get ad-free episodes of the public podcast, in addition to the extra episodes every week. So to join, go to patreon.com/twostandupgals.